So like we said earlier, we will be enlightening students and equipping you in the area of English literature. And our main agenda here is to make students have a positive attitude towards English. Now, as time goes by, I will be going through paper 1, 2, and 3 of English, and I'll be looking at everything as far as English literature is concerned. That is from close test to oral skills, to functional writing, to comprehension, to poetry, to answering questions in set books, that is both the excerpt and the essay, to creative writing, and all areas including oral literature and grammar. But due to demand from students and from the public, I was told to start with literature books. And to be very specific, I will start with that is the compulsory set books, that is the Blossoms of Savannah and the Doll's House. The Blossoms of Savannah and the Doll's House. So specifically, I will start with the play, that is the Doll's House, and then I'll go to Blossoms, and then later on I will also analyze the optionals, that is the Pearl, the Inheritance, and also a short story known as The Memories We Lost and Other Stories. So, but before I go deep into the Doll's House, there are things that you need to know. This is a play and this is a novel. And it is very important for you to know why are we calling this compulsory set book a novel and this one as a play. So I'm going first of all onto my first section. I'm going to look at the similarities and the differences that are found in a play and in a novel. Now the first similarity that you need to understand is that both of them have got what you call a plot. Both of them have got a plot. What is plot? Plot, we say, is the chronological flow of events in a story. How the events follow each other systematically. So both of them have got a plot, and a plot has got 3 sections. That is the beginning, we have the middle, and we have the end. Where in the beginning, we're introduced to characters. In the middle, we are told problems affecting the characters. Then at the end, we are told the resolutions or the solutions to the problems. So another similarity that they have, similarity number 2, is that both of them contain characters, and also they have got themes or the thematic concern. Remember, theme is the message within a story. So both of them have got themes, like we shall see, and both of them also have got characters who are the ones who are used to develop the plot and the themes in the story. Then number 3, both a play and a novel tell a story. There's a storyline. People cannot just stand up one early morning, or writers, and decide to write a novel or a play. So both of them have got a story, and that is a storyline. So those are the 3 major similarities. But apart from the similarities, we also have differences as to why this one is known as a play and this one is called a novel. Now, one of the similarities or the major similarities is that a novel is an art or a literary art that is written by a novelist. A literary art written by a novelist, while a play is a literary art that is written by a playwright. So it is important for you to know that a person who writes a play is known as a playwright, and this one is written by a novelist. Characteristic number 2, or the difference number 2, is that a play, the technique of writing is that it is usually written in form of a dialogue mostly, or a conversation, and we shall look at that. While if you look at a novel, it is written in prose form, not mostly dialogue, in prose form, though there are some instances where you'll find a little bit of conversation or dialogue, but you'll find that mostly it is written in prose form, a novel. Characteristic number 3 is that a play is usually written for the purpose of acting on stage. The main reason for writing a play is so that it can be acted on stage. But a novel is written purposely so that it can be read directly. And that is why most of the acting that happens is that acting a play is very easy. Though people try to act the novel, but you cannot act a novel systematically from beginning to end. There are some parts that you'll have to skip because it is not meant to be acted on stage. It is meant to be read directly, but a play is usually meant to be acted on stage. Another characteristic is that a play is divided into acts and scenes. Yeah, so we don't talk about chapters. A novel is the one that is divided into chapters. If you look at The Blossom of Savannah, it has got 19 chapters. If you look at The Doll's House, it has got 3 acts. So this one we talk about acts and scenes, while a novel we talk about the chapters. Another difference that you will note is that a play, you'll find out as you continue with the analysis, is that in a play, before the play begins, we are introduced to characters. Like if you look at, for example, The Doll's House, you'll find that at the beginning, the characters are highlighted before the story begins. That's Act 1. You find Torvald Elman, Nora, his wife, Dr. Rank, Mrs. Linde, Krogstad, Elma's 3 children, what have you. Just an example. But when it comes to a novel, we don't highlight the characters at the beginning. We just go direct to the chapters, and it is during the reading of the novel is when we are going to find out the different characters. So that one is a difference that we see. So those are some of the differences between a play and a novel. So I will go directly, without wasting any time, I will go directly to the analysis of the play that is The Doll's House. I will go directly, and one of the things that I will start with the playwright. It is important that you know the writer of a particular play or a novel or a short story or a novella. Now, the book was written, The Doll's House, it was written in 1879. It was written by a famous playwright known as, if you can read, you'll find that the name is even written there. It is Henrik Johan Ibsen. Yeah. The book was written in 1879, like we shall see. So no one is going to ask you, mostly in the case you see, about the writer, but it's always important. It will be very ironical that you read the whole book without knowing the writer. So I'll give you a glimpse or some information about the writer. One of the things you should know is that the writer was born in a place known as Skien in Norway. Yeah, that is in 1828. I know most of us were not born by then. 20th March 1828. And we are being told, if you read the story, that while this writer was around 16 years of age, if you Google and you read the biography, we are being told that the business that his father owned collapsed. And in specific, we are being told that the father had to sell the business or had to do away with the business in order to pay the creditors. So we found out that this is a boy who struggled much during his adulthood, and that is when the idea of writing came. I'm talking to those people maybe who want to be writers. It is not something that comes easily. You have to work at it. So we are being told that when he was 16, the business went down, and he got an idea. In fact, the first play that he wrote was known as Cataline. Cataline, if you can read, we are being told it was written around 1849. 1849, that's the first play, which did not make it, because we are being told that this play only sold around 45 copies. And when he took it to the theater, that is Cataline, the first play in 1849, it was not accepted. Yeah, but he never gave up. In 1864, we are being told that friends contributed some money, and they used the money to go to Italy and Germany. That is in 1864, where he spent the next 27 of his life writing. Yeah, you'll come to realize that this person, apart from books, he has written more than 300 poems. Yeah, so this is not somebody who is this is a very great writer. Yeah, he's a profound writer. He's a well-known writer. So and then in 1879 is when he wrote The Doll's House, which sold immediately more than 8,000 copies. A person who wrote a play, Cataline, which was not accepted in 1849, and later came to write a story or a play known as The Doll's House, which sold more than 8,000 copies immediately and was accepted, and in fact is one of the most celebrated plays as far as his writing is concerned. Then that is in 1879. Then later on we are being told, as I conclude, that in 1906, due to a series of strokes, he was suffering from stroke. He died in 1906. That is after suffering a successive strokes or a series of strokes, which made him not even to be able to walk. He stopped writing. He could not do much as far as writing is concerned, and he died in 1906. I was just giving you a glimpse of the writer, and though no one is going to ask you about him, but it is good that I tell you about the writer, so that if you want to write, you should know that nothing good ever comes on a silver platter. You have to decide, you have to work at it, and you have to toil and moil if you want anything. That's about the playwright. Number 3, I will talk about the setting of the book. That is the setting of this book. Now, setting. How do we define setting? Remember, I've talked about the playwright. Now I go down into the setting of the book. What is the meaning of the word setting? Setting refers to the time, the place, and the circumstances under which a story is written. I'm repeating again. Setting refers to the time, the place, and the circumstances under which a story is written. That is why some people define also setting as background information, or origin of a story. But to be able to understand the setting of this book very well, I will divide the setting into 3 types of setting. The first setting, I will call it the geographical setting. Get it right? That's the first setting, geographical setting. Geographical setting has to do with the place where the book was written. This person was born in Norway, and though the setting as far as the events of this story are concerned are in Norway, so the setting, the geographical setting, is in Norway, in the house of Mr. or rather in the house of Torvald Elmer, Torvald Elmer and the wife Nora Elmer. That is the geographical setting. That is in Norway, in the house of Torvald Elmer and Nora Elmer, who happens to be the wife. Then the second setting that I will talk about is what we refer to as the historical setting. Historical setting is the time period when it was written. And if you analyze the book very well, or if you do some analysis, you find that this book was written in an era that you're calling the Victorian era. Now, Victorian era, they're saying it is the era where Queen Victoria took over the English throne, and that was roughly around 1837, and this lady died in 1901. And because you've told you that the book was written in 1879, if you look at that era, it is during that era. That is the Victorian era. It is between that era. Now, we'll come to explain deeply which is this Victorian era, but all you need to know is that it was written during this era, and during her leadership, there are certain things that she brought forth that will be affecting this book, or will be enlightening this book in one way or another. Number 3, the other type of setting, we also call it the socio-economic setting. Socio-economic setting. Socio-economic setting has to do with the social class. Books are different. You can find that mostly a book is talking about the middle class. There are some who talk about the upper class. So this book specifically, the socio-economic setting, you will see is the upper middle class, whereby you find that these people are not poor. They are comfortable. They are satisfied with the life they are living. But despite the fact that they're in the upper middle class, they are still working. Like we shall be looking at the characters in the book, the likes of Torvald Elmer, Nora Elmer. These are not poor people. You find that Torvald House.For was a barrister lawyer who later gets a promotion to become a bank manager. So you find that those are people in society who are recognized. So this is you find that it is the upper middle class as far as the socio-economic setting is concerned. So we have three settings. We have got the geographical setting, the historical setting, time period, and the socio-economic setting, which has to do with the social class. That one is the setting. The other thing that I want to go through, remember I've talked about similarities and differences between a play and a novel. I want us to move systematically. I've talked about the differences between a play and a novel. I've talked about the playwright is right and given you a short information about Henrik Johan Ibsen. I've talked about the setting and I've divided the setting into three. Now, the driving force. Why was the book or the play written? You don't just wake up one early morning and decide to write a story. Yeah, people write a story due to different things. I remember there is My Life in Crime, John Kariamete. The book was written after his experience behind bars. So he wanted to give us the life, the experience that he went through. Very many books are written. People write books about experiences, the things that they have encountered while visiting certain places. People write about culture, different things. So what was the driving force? What was the force behind Henrik Ibsen writing this book? Listen and listen very good. During the Victorian era, this era whereby Queen Victoria took over the English throne, there was something that we called patriarchal society. A patriarchal society is a society where it is men who dominate. During this time period, there was a lot of what we call gender inequality, gender disparity, gender stereotype. The roles of the male and the female were confining. The work of a woman or female was to look after children, while the work of the male was to put food on the table. This is the thing. So you find out that there was also a lot of male chauvinism, where you find out that the male had a domineering attitude over the female. The female had no say. There was no equality in terms of the female and the male gender. And that is why this book brought a lot of conflict, because it was written during that time where there was a lot of gender disparity. Yeah, and we shall look at that mostly when we dig deep into the book and we look at the characters in the play, specifically the likes of Nora Elma, who happens to be a woman in that house, but you find out that the husband has more say. In fact, the husband is the overall decision maker. The husband controls everything in that house. So there is that relation, because during this time there was that gender disparity, and the gender was confining, like I've told you. The place of woman in society was not recognized. So there was that a patriarchal society, like I've explained, where it is male who dominate. So that was the driving force that made this person to write this book. And the book was written, and you'll find out that as we analyze the book, in fact, Nora Elma, at the end of the play, you'll find that she does something that was not expected, because you find out that she will leave a marriage and she will go, something that was not expected. So the conflict is created whereby Nora leaves the family and leaves the children together with the husband, something that was not expected, because the women were expected to be submissive towards their husbands. So that is the driving force. Now, without wasting time, after the driving force, remember, we are moving systematically, slowly by slowly, so that by the time we finish the book, you will have an in-depth analysis of the play. We've talked about similarities and the differences between a play and a novel. I've talked about the playwright. I've talked about the setting, and I've divided setting into three: the geographical setting, I've talked about the historical setting, and the socio-economic setting. I've also talked about the driving force. What was the force behind the writer writing this book? Why did he decide to write the book? I've talked about it. Then we go down now to the title, relevance. Yeah, the title, relevance. Why choose the title, A Doll's House? Listen and listen carefully. Each of these books has got a reason or a relevance of that title, why that title was chosen. Like we shall look at other books. Why call it Blossoms of Savannah? Why call it The Pearl? Why call it The Inheritance? What are people inheriting? Why call it Memories We Lost? Which are these memories that are lost? Now, The Doll's House. Title relevance. And as I cover the title relevance, I will also explain the cover page, because there are some drawings that are on top of the book. Now listen, and listen very good. This book is called A Doll's House. So the first thing that we look at is what is a doll? I will divide into two. I will explain a doll, symbolic meaning and relation to the book. Then I will explain why I use the word a house. A doll, according to a normal definition, is a plaything. Yeah, doll is a plaything. Yeah, I understand in Kiswahili teacher was telling me, wanamuita mwanasesere. Yeah, a plaything. It is children who like playing with the doll. And one of the things you must know about a doll is like a toy. Get me right. Number 3, a doll is usually manipulated by somebody else. There are those keywords I wanted to get. A doll is a plaything, something you play with. A doll is also a toy. A doll is manipulated by somebody. So it means that a doll does not have a freedom of its own. It is manipulated. It is controlled by somebody else. Now let me get it right now. In this play, the doll symbolizes Nora, who is a wife to Torvald Elmer. Get me right. Why are we calling Nora a doll? You'll find out in this house, or because the events in this book, they take place in the house. That is why the house is written. That's why the house is used as a title. You'll find that in this family, Nora is treated like a doll by the husband. Nora is manipulated. Nora is handled like a toy, just like a doll is handled or manipulated. You'll find out that decisions are made for Nora. Everything that Nora does is controlled by the husband. That is why even the husband calls Nora some toy names like my squirrel, my skylark, my lark. I'm just giving you a glimpse. Those things we shall look at deeply in the analysis of the play. So Nora is restricted. When it comes to money matters, the husband is the final decision maker. When it comes to even moving outside, the husband is the final decision maker. When it comes even to the mode of dressing, the husband is the final decision maker. And that is why we conclude and say that Nora is like a doll. In this book, there comes to a time whereby Nora will say that I'm tired of being a doll. I'm tired of being manipulated. I'm tired of being controlled. So in this book, Nora is the doll. Nora is controlled. Listen carefully. Why house? House is defined as a structure where people live in. Get me right. And the events in this book are taking place inside the house. But I want to look at this house very well. And I will even tell you the reason as to why they have not used a home. We say east or west, home is the best. We don't say east or west, house is the best. So why are they using the word home? Home is a structure where we're living. Now, the events in this book, that is Act 1, 2, and 3, all of them are taking place inside that house. Now, if you look at the drawing here, there is something that it doesn't look like, in fact, it's a cage. And if you look carefully, what we put inside here is a bird. The reason as to why we put a bird inside here is so as to restrict its movement, to control its movement. So in this house, when the book begins, you can think that these people are happy, they're enjoying, but you'll come to realize that this house is like a cage to Nora. It's like a small prison where the freedom of Nora is restricted, where Nora cannot make decisions, mainly because of what we call gender disparity, something that was affecting most of those people in Norway during that time. And I want you to get me right. Even if these events are taking place in Norway as a setting, but But these are things that you can relate to around the world. These are things that are there. Gender disparity is still there. Yeah? Gender inequality is still there. Patriarchal society is there even in Africa. Even in Kenya here, we have all those things. That is why you find that women have been fighting over and over that they are not recognized in society. So those things were there. So Nora is the doll, and then the house is where Nora lives in. It's like a cage, like you can see here. So you find out that somehow Nora has no freedom. Yeah. But we shall come to see later the decision that Nora makes. Yeah. Because we say that you can push somebody to a point of no return, and all that person will start doing is that the person will retaliate. We are human beings, and our level of patience somehow reaches when it reaches a level where we cannot be patient anymore. What we will do is that we will react. So we shall see the decision that Nora makes when she feels like I am not given my space. So that is it. That is the reason I've explained the dolls and then the house. And then if it was called a home, then we would have said it's better. We say east or west home is the best, because if we use the word home, there is love, there is care, there is unity in the house, there is togetherness. But to find out that they're using the word house, and this house is like a cage, whereby the only thing that Nora knows outside that house is what the husband tells her. Yeah. So you find out that there is that restriction. So home would have been a better title, but they have said a doll's house. Then lastly, after explaining the title relevance, we shall come to dig deep as we read the rest of the book. That is when we'll understand how the story relates to the title. I want to say that this title is also ironical in a way. What is irony? Irony is opposite of what is expected. When we start reading the book, we shall look at types of irony. I will not dig deep. We shall look at the verbal irony, the tragic irony, the situational irony, and the dramatic irony, and the comic irony. We shall look at all that later. But for now, irony is opposite of what is expected. Now, doll's house. Dolls, there is this apostrophe which shows possession. Nora is the dolls. When you say doll's house, it's like you're saying it is Nora's house. Now, when you call this Nora's house, it will be very ironical to what happens in the house. Because this house does not belong to Nora. Why? If a house belongs to you, you make decisions. Yeah, you are part and parcel of decision making. Yeah, you have freedom. Yeah, you'll find out that this house does not belong to Nora. This house belongs to the husband, Torvald Elman. Number one, he controls money matters, when he will be referring to Nora as spendthrift. Number two, Torvald Elman has got a study room which is very private and confidential, that Nora cannot even get inside there the way he wants. In this house, Torvald Elma is the one who controls the mailbox where letters come in. In fact, you'll come to realize that we are told that the person with the key is the husband. So you don't trust your wife to a point whereby you are the one who even keeps the keys to the mailbox. So there is no trust. So there is no way you can say it is Nora's house when you have restricted Nora to a point whereby she has no freedom. So calling it a doll's house is ironical. It is opposite to how Nora is treated in this house. Because if a house belongs to me, there are certain things that I expect to be there. So that is up to the irony of the title. When you read the book, we shall dig deep. Then finally, let us look at the characters that will be involved in this play. And I want us to follow very well. These are the characters. Like I told you that in a play, before a play begins, we are supposed to be introduced to characters. So we will open together. Yeah, the book. Let us open together. And then I'll be telling you some slight information about these characters, so that at least you have a glimpse. You have some idea who these characters are. Character number one is known as Torvald Elma. What should you know about Torvald Elma? Number one, Torvald Elma is the husband to Nora Elma. Torvald Elma is also the father of the three children. That is Ivar, they have got two children, Bobby and Emmy. Another thing you must know slightly about Torvald Elma is that Torvald Elma was a barrister, that is a lawyer, and later on becomes a bank manager. Those three things know about the character Torvald Elma. The other character character is Nora. Who is Nora? Nora, number one, is the wife of Tovalt Elma, the one that symbolizes the doll. It is Nora who symbolizes the doll, the toy that is played with, a plaything. That is Nora Elma. That is all I'll tell you about Nora Elma, and also the mother of Ivar, Bobby, and Emmy. Number three, we have got Dr. Rank. Dr. Rank, number one, is a doctor, just by the name. Number two, Dr. Rank is also a family friend of the Elma. Very close. There are some friends that you don't have to invite to your house. They can come anytime. That they can even go to the kitchen and cook for themselves. You don't ask them. They don't even knock. So that is how close Dr. Rank is. But this Dr. Rank, also be very careful, because he admires Nora secretly, knowing that Nora is a wife to your friend, and then you admire her, brings a bad picture. But that is lack of respect if you know that this person belongs to this is a wife of your friend. So there is a secret admirer to Nora, which he will come to reveal it later in the play. Then you have got another character number 4, Mrs. Linde. Though let me give you the full names. This one is known as Christine Linde. Christine Linde, number 1, is old school friend of Nora. They were in the same school, but they have not seen each other for quite a while. In fact, when Christine Linde visits Nora in the house to ask Nora to talk to the husband so that she can get a chance in the bank, you find that they have not seen each other for almost 9 to 10 years. And Christine has changed a lot, like we shall see as we analyze the book later. I'm just giving you some tip of the iceberg. So apart from old school friend, Mrs. Christine Linde is also a widow. A widow is a woman whose husband is dead. We shall come to see what happened. Then Christine is also a former lover of Niels Krogstad, one of the also very fascinating characters in this play, like we shall see later, a conflict created between Niels Krogstad and Nora. We shall come to analyze later. So I've said a widow, old school friend of Nora, and also this woman is unemployed. That is why she comes to visit Nora. We shall come to see the events unfolding. Then you have got Niels Krogstad. Niels Krogstad, number 1, is a solicitor's clerk. I'll come to tell you who is a solicitor's clerk. Niels Krogstad is also a friend of Tovalt. Though there will be a conflict, but you'll come to realize that these are people who have known each other for long. We shall come to see. Then Niels Krogstad is also a kind of Shylock, in terms of lending money. We shall come to see that. Then Niels Krogstad, another thing also you must know about this person, is a former lover of Christine Linde. Former lover. We shall come to see why did they separate. What happened in the book. So expect that. Then Elma's 3 young children, if you can open the book. The 3 young children, according to their age, the first one is Ivar. We have got Bob or Bobby. Then we have got Emmy. We shall look at them. They are the 3 children of Nora Elma, who symbolizes the doll, and Tovalt Elma. Then you have got Anne. Here they are writing Anne, they are nurse. The full names, we call her Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie. Or you can also Anne-Marie. Or in the book, she's also called Old Anne. Why is she called Old Anne? This Anne is a nurse. Our work is to take care of the children of Nora and Tovalt. That is Ivar, Bob, and Emmy. But she's called Old Anne because she's still the one who took care of Nora. Remember, in this book, Nora's mother is not mentioned. The only person who is mentioned most of the time is Nora's father, Papa. So the person who took the mandate of taking care of Nora is this lady, Old Anne. And so Nora trusts her so much, and that is why Nora has even mandated her to be the one taking care of the 3 children, that is Ivar, Bob, and Emmy. Now, apart from Anne, they have got a housemaid, like it is written. The name of the housemaid is known as Ellen. So you should differentiate what they are doing. Ellen is the housemaid who takes care of the house chores. But Anne-Marie is only there for the sake of the children. So that is why she's a nurse. And then finally, we have got a porter. Now, you might have different definitions of who a porter is, but I will define it according to the Oxford Dictionary, according to the way it is used in the play. A porter is somebody who carries and distributes luggages. And in the introduction of the book in Act 1, it is the porter who brings the Christmas tree to Nora, owing to the fact that the events in this story unfold during the Christmas vacation. Yeah, it is a holiday. We shall come to look at that. So Porter is a person who carries and distributes luggage. And then lastly, they are saying the actions take place in Elmer's house. I've told you, the reason as to why it is known as a house. A house is a structure where people live in. All the events in this story take place inside the house. That is Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. And we shall come to look at that later. So that is the setting, the house. And then later on, when we come in our next lesson, today we come to the end of that lesson. I've talked about, let me do a recap, the similarities and differences between a play and a novel. I've talked about the playwright, that is Henrik Johan Ibsen. I've talked about the setting, the driving force, what drove this person to write the book. I've talked about the title relevance. I've talked about the irony of the title, and then the introduction of the characters in this play. At least you have a glimpse of who they are. Even if you have not read the book, you'll come to realize. So let us call it a lesson today. In our next lesson, I will come to start the official analysis of Act 1 of the play. And I intend to make this book to be as simple as possible, as students will get it. So in our next episode or lesson, we shall look at Act 1. I will analyze the whole of Act 1. I will talk about the themes in Act 1. I will talk about the features of style, character and characterization, and then I'll also give you some questions to attempt, because I cannot be talking without questions, so that you can see if at all you understand the analysis. Otherwise, for those few remarks, welcome to a nerve-breaking analysis of the power. Thank you.